Okay, let's talk a little bit about selecting a certification body for an ISO certification. So, a lot of these pieces of advice that I'm going to give are true regardless of which ISO certification you're trying to pursue. So, even if you're doing ISO 27001 or any other ISO framework, you can kind of apply these same principles. But some of the things that you need to know and that I think about when it comes to selecting a certifying body is number one, make sure that it is an accredited certifying body. There are firms out there who are not authorized or not accredited to issue certifications that will issue an unaccredited certification. And you don't want to do that. And the reason that you don't want to use an unaccredited firm is because they're not governed as tightly. Their audit processes and quality can vary wildly. There's also a chance that your customers won't recognize that certification as legitimate in the marketplace. So you want to make sure that you're using an accredited certification body. Two really reputable accreditation bodies are ANAB and UCAS. ANAB is very popular here in the US. That is who governs the audit firms. So if you go to ANAB's website, you can actually see a list of certification bodies that are authorized to issue each certification. So here in the US, for example, I think there's about 15 firms that can certify against ISO 27001. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to select the drop-down list and look for ISO 42001 certification bodies and see who is even permitted to issue your certification. And if you already have multiple certifications like 27001 and 27701, you'll want to make sure that you choose a firm who's authorized to issue all three of those certifications. And I can tell you from experience, there's only about 3 firms here in the US that I would recommend. So if you're looking for a recommendation on a firm, you can reach out to me separately, and I'd be happy to tell you which firms I believe are really reputable, and you can get multiple quotes. So consider the accredited firm. That's a really mandatory step. Once you've done that, a couple things that I consider is obviously costs. You want a fair price. The market kind of dictates the price, so there probably won't be wildly different, but it's good to get a few quotes and see who's pricing things fairly. And the third thing I would consider is their reputation for service. So you might not want to go with someone who has a rock bottom price because their reputation for service is terrible and you won't actually hit your objective. So just think through, maybe get some quotes from other, or get some references from their prior customers. Just make sure that they're reputable. And then you might have a great audit firm, but a lot of times the audit experience comes down to the individual at the firm and their individual expertise. So with ISO 42001, you're going to want to make sure that you have someone that is familiar with ISO, generally speaking, but also has some experience when it comes to thinking through AI concepts. So who is the individual auditor or audit team that you'll be working with, and are they competent to audit this subject matter? You might want to get their resumes, their bios, maybe even meet them before making a selection. I already talked about their capabilities to perform other types of audits, especially if you're a company that has multiple compliance frameworks, like ISO 27001, even outside the ISO universe, like SOC 2 or PCI, because probably your strategy will have a harmonized audit experience where you're doing a consolidated audit across multiple frameworks. And if that is a need that you have, you're going to want to make sure that you check in on that. And that is going to lead me to my last point, that if you are a multi-framework company, strongly consider the path that you're going to take to execute against a harmonized audit, a consolidated audit across all of your frameworks in one foul swoop instead of all of these different separate audit work streams that really overburdens your business. And that's one thing that Risk360 specializes in, is in creating those harmonized audit experiences for our customers. So that's something you can think about when it comes to selecting a certification body. So we've talked about implementing a program, getting certified, and next is I want to give some advice about managing your program, because this isn't just a one-time thing where you implement it and forget about it. You really need to think about what is it going to take you and your company to maintain this program year over year, because these audits happen every year. It's an ongoing program. So in the next session, we'll talk a little bit about that, and I'm looking forward to talking to you.